Hey guys, welcome to another webinar by Kazob. We are a career development venture, and what we do is we broadcast live interviews of people from the industry, of faculty members, of educational institutions, and we broadcast it live so that students and professionals can learn about them. Today we have a really exciting webinar. We are going to be talking about what the next revolution in fashion is, and we have Donald Potard, who is the chair on the Paris College of Art, and and he's going to be talking about it. And he's going to be interviewed by Kamna Patel, who is an alumni of PCA, and she's a photographer now. It's we've got a really diverse crowd today because we've got around 122 participants from over 12 countries. So it should be a lot of fun, especially the polls. And we will have a Q&A session at the end, but don't wait for the end of the webinar to actually send in your questions. Uh, Whenever you do come up with a question, just send it in, and we'll make a note of it. So great. So let's start. Kamna, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ajay. Hi, I'm Kamna. I'm a photographer based in Mumbai, and I graduated from PCA in 2013. Today, I'm talking to Donald Potard, who is the ex-CEO of Jean-Paul Gaultier and the current chair of fashion at Paris College of Art. So, hi, Donald. How are you doing?
Fine. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career?
All right. Well, I started my career not in fashion, but in theater. And very, very soon, Jean-Paul Gaultier came to me and asked me if I could help him with his fashion. So it convinced me to come and discover the world of fashion. And we've been working together for about 25 years. After that, I was president of the Federation of Couture in France, and as well, I was CEO of several companies like Jean-Charles de Castelbajac or Ungaro for the men. And then I decided to create something different with designers, something that did not exist. I became an artistic agent for fashion designers, because the world of fashion has changed so much already, and this is a little bit what we are discussing today, the future of fashion.
Just before
I'm chair of, as you said, I'm chair of the Paris College of Art for fashion.
Before we get along with the conversation, I just want to remind our viewers that there should be polls running underneath the window, so please feel free to participate and share your thoughts and your answers with us. And yeah, feel free to send questions as well, so we can keep this a little more interactive. So you've had a really long and successful career, and you've seen trends come and go. And what are your predictions for the next revolution in fashion?
Well, you know, fashion is always moving, and you have a revolution every 10 years, let's say. Today it's becoming a constant revolution. The last revolution was about distribution, but today we're facing many new revolutions, not only one revolution, but three different revolutions. The first one we'll discuss later is technology. The second one is presentation, and the third one is distribution. In technology, things are going to change a lot, like it changed in the 19th century, for instance, with Jacquard. Jacquard was an incredible new technology. It was almost the ancestor of computers. It was the first time people used punch cards to work, and these punch cards that were used in computers until the beginning of this century were invented 200 years before for fashion. So it's this kind of technology and changes that we're going to deal with. We'll go more in detail about that. For presentation, you will see that this is going to change totally because the world is becoming so fast, and the sales are going to be directing and taking over, unfortunately, a little bit over creativity. And for distribution, well, this is going to change, of course, through the internet, but as well by many, many other new forms.
Okay. So, can you elaborate a little bit about the role of technology in the future of fashion?
Absolutely. Well, new technology is something that is taking over fashion as it always has been. For instance, I told you about the 19th century in Jacquard, but luxury is always very interested in new technology, and usually they take their know-how, traditional know-how, and use it with the newest technology. Would it be in printing, in making molds? Everything that is new has to go through first luxury, then, of course, bigger and bigger and bigger markets. So the luxury departments and the financial groups are very interested in the development of digital and high-tech. For instance, 3D printing. I'm sure you have seen already that some designers are using 3D printings to make clothes, very special clothes. Some of them are already in museums. And it's a brand new technique because 3D is changing as well all the time. You know, the 3D printers that we knew 2 or 3 years ago are totally obsolete, and now we have liquid printers, for instance, or printers that can print human skin, for instance. So with all these new techniques, we're going to be able to develop absolutely amazing new techniques. For instance, you know that today we have, of course, a lot of garments that are exactly the same because it is cheaper to produce 1,000 times the same garment. Tomorrow is going to be totally different. To produce 1,000 different garments is going to cost exactly the same. So why should we stick to this fast fashion while we can invent a new fashion, a new trend, while everybody can be dressed differently? And this is exactly what is going to be in the next decade. For instance, you know that haute couture is something absolutely amazing, but it's only for one person, and it's very, very costly. It's very costly because it takes a lot of people to sew and to prepare, of course, these garments. Replace that with robots or with 3D printers or all these new machines, and you're going to have something absolutely unique for a very reasonable price. So that's very important because very soon this you will see this mass customization effect that will replace the fast fashion as we know it today.
Okay. Wow. How would this mass customization trend affect the role of the designers in the future?
That's a very interesting question because the role of the designer has already changed a lot during these last 50 years. Before, the designers were just designing clothes, and that was it. And they were asked to do more and more things because today the fashion houses are more lifestyle. They open themselves to lifestyle. For instance, 20 years ago, there were no glasses made by fashion houses, very little perfume, no watches, And today the designers have to be very, very curious. Of course, they still have to do fashion because it's for the image, but they have to work in very, very new areas, like I said, glasses, accessories, perfume, etc. And something really new is becoming. It is the presentation. Things have really changed during these last, let's say, 50 years. Ready-to-wear was born, and ready-to-wear was created by couture houses. So when ready-to-wear was created, the people who invented ready-to-wear took the image of couture to make ready-to-wear as it is now and as we know it. For instance, they decided to make fashion shows. Ready-to-wear doesn't need fashion shows. Couture does, but ready-to-wear doesn't need fashion show, and exactly it doesn't need a public fashion show. But at the very beginning, the fashion shows were only for specialists. It was not open to the public, not open to the journalists, the press. It was only for the buyers, because you had 6 months between the fashion show and the time the clothes were in the stores. And in 6 months, you can do a lot of things, like copy, for instance. So it was very dangerous to show 6 months ahead. But then the work changed because Kenzo, who was the very first one, decided to change these fashion shows into events that were like show business. Okay, so it was no more only for professionals. And then they invited the press, and they decided to put music and girls dancing, and it was really an amazing show and really fun, and everybody loved it. So the houses realized that it was very good for their image, and they stopped caring about the copies and all the problems that were created. But then there is a new problem that was created by that. It's that because they invited the press, and because they invited the bloggers, and because you have Instagram, and because it's so easy to put everything on the web at the second you see it, when a collection arrives in a store, people have seen the collection thousands of times, you know, and the people are disappointed when they go to the store and they say they are said, "Oh, this is a brand new collection." They have this impression that it's an old collection because it's been viewed hundreds and hundreds of times by the bloggers, by all these apps on the internet. So this is going to change because this system is dead. Now people speak a lot about the see now, buy now system, and it's for the wrong reasons, because some people say that it's the commercial that takes over the creativity. I don't think so, because if you think of couture, for instance, it is see now, buy now. At the end of the fashion show, anybody can buy the clothes, and the creativity is still there. I think to survive the ready-to-wear, and of course I'm speaking luxury, but not only luxury, international ready-to-wear, let's say, has to be shown exactly as it was in the 60s, which is only to a certain group of people who are the buyers to be professional again. Then, when the clothes arrive in the stores in September, for instance, for the winter, then you can make a big show, invite everybody. So the role of the designer is to control this, because now they have to be as well. The name has changed. You don't say a designer anymore. You say an artistic director. So you'll have more and more to be an artistic director. And the fashion designer of tomorrow will have to know all of this.
So that's very interesting. So what you're saying is that technology is moving forward, but presentation is still this has to move backwards. Um, just before the next question, I'd like to remind our viewers to please answer the poll questions if you haven't already, and send in any other questions that you have, because we're going to make Donald answer all our questions at the end of this. So what about distribution, though? What with e-stores changing the game? Can you tell us a little bit what you think, how you think distribution is going to change in the future?
Absolutely. Distribution is going to be the third revolution. It already started a little bit, not too much, but the distribution as it is now, for the reason I just told you in the precedent subjects, is very costly. It's very costly today to open a store, for instance, and to have a lot of stock in the store. So more and more, the real stores, when I say real stores, it's opposite to web stores, have a mass of stock, to deal with. And this is very, very costly. So more and more stores are going to be soon transformed into showrooms, where you will just go and look at the clothes. Maybe you can try one or two clothes, but there is not going to be any stock. When you will leave the store, it's going to be with empty hands and just a ticket, okay? And then your clothes will be delivered by 2 or 3 days afterwards. So when you go to these stores, what's going to happen? You will see some clothes and you will have only one size, okay? Not so many sizes as today. And you will have the size, you will have the color, you will have everything that you can try on, but nobody is going to help you to go, back here to see if they have another color, another size. This time is over. So, of course, if you don't have stock, it's going to be, you're going to save a lot of money. You're going to save a lot of money because what you will do is that you will have a central stock per country, for instance, or per region, if the country is very, very big, and everything will leave from these platforms, not from the stores anymore. More and more, this is going to change, and this is going to be a real revolution.
Okay. Wow. I think the second poll should be up just about now.
Kamna, I put up the second poll in 2 minutes. It should be up. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So how do you see this affecting the job market in the future, and what kind of skills will young designers need to acquire to compete, so to speak?
Well, you understand that with all these changes, the work of the designers themselves is going to change, as it's been changing every 10 years. The designers shall have to be a little bit an engineer, and they will have to know a little bit of engineering. They don't have to be engineers totally, like we will ask them to build a car. But, they will have to be able to speak with people who know these techniques, like they speak today with people who know how to work on computers. I can tell you that it was very hard for the fashion designers to work on computers at the very beginning. Computers were just for secretaries. But now, of course, they understand that the artistic interest of the computers is going to be the same with all the new technology. So they have to open their mind and change their way of thinking toward technology, distribution, and presentation of the fashion shows. So this is going to be a real change, and they'll have to get ready now as soon as possible.
Great. So, thank you, Donald. I think it's time to take questions. And I believe that the results of the first poll should be out sometime now or are out already. Um, so, let me see if anyone's asked us questions already.
So Kamna, you want to look at the results of the first poll first?
Yeah, sure. Adret,
Great.
maybe you can give
Yeah.
the results of the first poll.
Okay, so can you see that?
Yeah. Okay, so most people think that sustainable production is the future of fashion, followed by 3D printing and then supply chain optimization and mass customization. Ooh. Donald, do you agree?
I can't read, but I understand you. Yeah,
Well, people are voting for sustainable production as the future of fashion, followed by 3D printing and mass customization.
a lot of companies already started, sustainable fashion because fashion is, I'm afraid to say, one of the two main sources of pollutions on the planet. Because of all the chemicals that are used, things will have to change very, very quickly. And some of these houses already started, to communicate on the change of the fact that they are using natural products, for instance, for the colors of the clothes. But it's not enough, of course. It's not enough because you still have a lot of chemicals, and it's going to take a long time, to change all the mentalities. Because people say they want natural clothes or they want natural colors. This has a cost, and I do not know if people are ready to pay for this cost. It's like for food. People want natural food; they don't want chemicals. But when you say that to have organic food, you have to pay twice as much. What happens? They take the regular food. So little by little, I guess this will come, but it will take time, and people are not ready to pay more for the moment, which explains the success of fast fashion. Fast
Okay,
fashion is really destroying the planet.
great. Well, let's take your first question. Um, do you think that the mass customization by machines will reduce the number of artisans creating haute couture? Would it be more important to preserve these skills and craftsmanship?
Um, I don't think so. It's going to be like if you see cars, for instance, you have a lot of robots building cars, and they are not building the nice part of the car. They are really building the structure, everything which is in metal, everything that is not really interesting. But when it comes to making the car a luxury car, of course they use people for that. So it's going to be the same for these new products in fashion. They will do the robots will do the less interesting part, but there will still be room, of course, for the know-how. And here at Paris College of Art, for instance, we are creating a new master, which is called Haute Couture, Haute Technology. And we're just rightly going to teach the students to use both the high technology and the know-how of couture, haute couture, and to combine them. We want this high technology to add something new and not to replace what we already have.
We have another very interesting question. Keeping up with the latest trends of fashion is considered an elitist privilege. Do you see that changing in the future?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Keeping
Some
up with the latest trends of fashion is considered an elitist privilege. Do you see that changing in the future?
Not really. Not really. This is one of the things that there will always be people with privilege who wants to have something special, you know. And it's a good thing because this is for these people that we create some labs. So it always starts with R&D, and R&D is always made in couture or in luxury. Then, when it's been used for couture, then you can use it for mass production, for instance. And this is exactly what happens. If you make, I don't know, a new shoulder, you can't make it for mass production because it's very costly. But you can do it with couture because the price is not a problem. So once it's been done for couture, then you can work it for mass production. I'll give you a short example. A French couture designer wanted an impeccable shoulder, and he worked with an aircraft company here in France, with Airbus. And together, they worked on a special product that was both strong and very light, and now, of course, it's been presented in couture, and it can be made now in a very, very cheap way for mass production. So finally, think of luxury as a laboratory and not as something very special for very few people. This is how I see it.
But maybe mass customization will change that in the future.
I'm not sure. I think there will always be a strong demand for products with a lot of know-how. Fortunately, because this know-how must not disappear. It's very important that we keep all this know-how everywhere in the world.
I think we have time for one more question and the results of the second poll. Advait, should I do the question first, or do you want to do the poll first?
Let's see the pool.
Advait?
I can't see it because it's too small.
Yeah, no, okay, nice. Yeah, I think he gets it goes up. Okay, well, I'll take the last question.
I can't see it.
Let me ask you the last question, and then we do the second one.
Okay.
Okay, the last question is: as the 3D printers are allowing ourselves to create things, with new techniques and will new techniques and machines allow us to design clothes for ourselves as well, linked with professional fashion? So the viewer wants to know that now that 3D printer is allowing people to make garments for themselves, will new machines and technologies allow consumers to make professional level garments for themselves as well?
Yes and no, because of course, why not? It's possible for people who are very creative. Why not? But not everybody is creative, and some people prefer to have somebody who makes the clothes for them. It's like painting or photography. Not everybody is gifted for these arts, and fortunately, there will always be room for creative people who will work with technicians to create things that are going to be absolutely amazing. Think of, I don't know, dresses like TVs, made with TV screens. For this, you need a lot of technology, but as well, you need creativity. So maybe you will be able to do things by yourself, little things, not so important, but when it will become to big pieces, then you will have to go through industry and creativity.
Okay, great. I think we could have time for one more question, maybe. What do you think, Donald? Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Do you Do you see fashion houses employ technology experts in-house for innovation in wearable tech? If so, how do you see this impact the conventional art of fashion design?
Hmm. Well, I do not have a crystal ball, and it's difficult to answer this question. But what we can see that it already started. As soon as there is new technology, you can see fashion houses using it very, very quickly. Would it be a new way of printing? Would it be a new way of using all these new techniques? You know that these big groups are really investing a lot of money today in digital. LVMH, for instance, has taken somebody very important at Apple, who is now in charge of digital at LVMH, while Apple took people from Saint Laurent or big fashion house and used them in their new products, the new technologies. So what we can see is that both fashion and high technology are now using the same kind of people. So I think that little by little, it will become closer and closer.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. I think the second poll results are up.
Yeah, they're up. We've got around 32% of the people said that art direction and creative management are the skills required. Actually, sorry, this is the skills required.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. Um, yeah, so 32% of the people said that art direction and creative management are the skills that will be required in the future. Would you agree with that, Donald?
Yeah, I
Uh,
guess.
yeah.
So that's good.
Good.
Not much is changing in that space in the future either. All right, well, I think that's all we have time for. But thank you
Right.
so much, Donald. It was great chatting with you. And if there's anyone watching who has any questions about studying abroad or about the courses at PCA, you can click on the link on the bottom left and you have more information about the courses available at PCA and also my email address in case you want to reach out to me with any questions you have regarding a career in the arts or even just studying abroad. You can contact me on that email address. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Kamna, and thanks a lot, Donald. It was amazing having you all here, and some really great insights. I mean, technology, presentation, and distribution. Really interesting stuff. To the viewers, as Kamna said, if you can just scroll down to the bottom left, you can go and click on the link by which will take you to a Paris College of Art page in case you're interested. And yeah, and we have another webinar coming up soon, so we'll keep you updated about that. Um, so goodbye to everyone. Thanks a lot for coming.
Bye.
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 Bye.